I'm Ari Aster, writer and director of Hereditary.
I'm Alex Wolff. I play Peter in Hereditary.
I'm Shapiro, and I play Charlie in Hereditary.
Ari, talk about the house. You said that was built from scratch. That includes the exteriors.
Well, so no, the exteriors were at actual locations, but everything interior for that house was built from scratch. So the bottom floor, second floor, attic, and the interior of the treehouse.
I really like the way you move the camera. There's an early exterior shot where you notice that it's going up a ramp, the driveway.
Right.
And the way the camera kind of moves up. And then there's also some exterior night shots. Were you trying to do, it almost looks like a miniature because the trees are so tall around it. How did you like those trees?
Oh, well, you know, that is my DP, Pavel Pogorzewski,
Who shot your short films too?
He did shoot my short films. Yeah, we've made just about everything together. And the way we work, I mean, we work very closely together, but the lighting is his, and he's incredible. I'm more concerned with camera movement and composition, and so the way we usually work is I'll compose a shot list and I'll bring it to him, and from there we'll begin a dialogue. And that's actually why we built everything on a stage, was so that we could actually build something that would cater to the way I wanted to shoot the film.
Ari, as we're talking about my house, can you talk about the miniatures that you also built and sort of how that went hand in hand with the house?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so yes, we had to build everything on a stage, but because we were also having miniature replicas of those spaces made, we had to design everything well in advance of not only shooting but building. So typically, if you're building on a stage, you have to figure out what the dimensions are early on, and then set dressing you can take your time with. But on this one, we actually needed to figure out the set dressing at the same time as the dimensions of the spaces, and in some cases beforehand, because they're harder to make and harder to replicate. So we needed to know what the wallpaper was on the walls. We needed to know what the furniture was, what the blankets on the beds would be, because we were replicating all of that. And we were building the sets in Utah, which is where we shot, but the miniatures were being made in Toronto by Steve Newburn, who also did our prosthetics. He's great.
Can I ask all three of you a question? You know, you all come from projects that have dealt with dysfunction. Matilda, my friend Dahmer, and now with Hereditary. Can you talk about taking on characters where in the house there's a lack of communication and a disconnect, and how it plays into this film? Ladies first.
It was really interesting because while Matilda did come from a dysfunctional family, this family was, in Hereditary, the family's trying to act like there's nothing wrong. And I think that was something that was very interesting in the script and just the story in general. And my character was very different from anything I've ever done before, so that was a lot of fun to do. And especially my character is not really communicate much. She's very disconnected from the world, and that was very interesting for me to do. And it took me a while to really figure out how I was going to do that correctly. And Ari really helped with that, and I think once I figured it out, then it really helped with the family dynamic.
I mean, I think lack of communication can just be a source of like a lot of interest to people, because I think if you're going to do a movie about involving family, really anybody, I mean, lack of communication is an everyday thing. So I think if there's been any type of theme of lack of communication in any of the things that I've done, it would just be that they're, I think, good, and anything that's to me good or even great, especially this movie, involves a lack of communication. People trying to communicate. So I think one of the big problems with movies, especially big blockbuster movies, is everybody says the plot and says the things, and there's the perfect moment, and they say this and they say that. And I think in real life it's all muddled and people don't, they're saying one thing, but there's really a bunch of other stuff going on, and usually fights about where you put down this water cup is really about, when the person cheated on the other person 10 years ago. And I just think that that's what life is. So if that's been a theme, it's just because, life. But I think he really mastered it in the dialogue, I think, especially between me and Annie, and Peter and Annie. It's a really unique relationship where right off the jump, something's going on there. And, but you don't feel like Peter's angsty. It doesn't feel like an angsty teen thing. It feels like there's trauma between them, and so yeah.
Sorry, repeat the question.
When it comes to the aspect of dysfunction and no communication, because you said that this was based more on a family drama rather than a horror film.
Yeah.
So in the bedroom, ordinary people. Was there anything to that?
Yeah. I mean, this is a film about a family breaking down and communication breaking down in a family, and these people who are isolated from each other in their own home, and the horror sort of grows out of that dynamic, and so it was very important to me to attend to the family drama before even thinking about how we were going to execute the horror elements.
Can I ask about the use of humor in the movie? Because yes, it was incredibly scary, but it was also funny at times. Can you talk a bit about the balancing those two things?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it's funny at times. I can't imagine making a film with no humor. But yeah, I don't know so much how it's an instinct thing. How far you can go without breaking the spell. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the humor sometimes comes from just how far the movie goes. That there's less of a tether maybe than there seems to be. I don't know.
There's a lot of disturbing imagery in this. The kind I suffer from sleep paralysis. I don't know if you ever saw the documentary.
Yeah, Nightmare.
Yeah. So whenever I see something that's very disturbing, it makes me feel like I fall into the sunken place. And so there's one, I don't want to spoil the fun of this movie and what shot it is, but it involves a certain person hitting their head against something very fast. And so is there like any imagery that you, whether it's a film or a piece of art or something that has kind of caused that effect for each of you?
Well, I used to be obsessed with horror films. I'm not so much anymore. But growing up, there were a few films that traumatized me as a kid. One isn't actually, isn't I guess officially designated a horror film, but it's Peter Greenaway's The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, which I think is a pretty evil movie. I think Peter Greenaway might be an evil person, but he's and that film is filled with images that really bothered me and stayed with me. And a big part of it too was what wasn't just what the images were, but the artifice of the filmmaking. And there is something upsetting about artifice. Peter Greenaway is somebody who uses all these like alienating Brechtian devices, and yet the imagery is like very immediate and upsetting. And also, it was one of the first films that I'd ever seen that felt like it was made by an authentic misanthrope, like somebody who really hated people. And I hated what that movie made me feel. I mean, I saw it when I was way too young. So who knows what that says about me that I now want to, produce that same effect. But I was thinking about Peter Greenaway actually a lot when it came to the more upsetting imagery in the film.
Now, Greenaway told me that he based that film on a restoration play called "'Tis a Pity She's a Whore" by John Ford, and the knife in the cheek.
Oh yeah, the knife in the cheek, the corpse at the end that looks like a turkey, like a roasted turkey, the corpse that's being like stuffed with pages from the French Revolution, and then Helen Mirren like lying in bed with this corpse because she's in such denial that he's just talking to him. It's awful stuff.
Well, speaking of repeatedly hitting your head against something, can you talk about the physicality of that scene, Alex? I mean, were you literally just,
Well, yeah. I mean,
okay, next take.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had a desk that was made of rubber, but if it's repeated slamming your head against the thing, it hurts a lot. So, which I didn't anticipate, and I think it's fair to say I don't really like fake doing stuff ever. I think it's fair to say I didn't like fake anything in the movie really like, and so I wanted to slam my head against the thing. So that's just what we did, and it just hurt a lot, and that's the end of it.
Can I ask about the sound? Because in order for it to be as effective, it's got to be your performance, but it's also got to be the sound that comes from it, also the clicking noise. So how important, and whoever would like that answers, how important is the sound with this film and making it as effective with the drama as well as the horror?
That scene in particular, that sounds like really cleverly manipulated.
Yeah, well, the score is really going to town. But I mean, sound is so important in a horror film, especially because we're dealing so much, in dread and anticipation and things happening off screen, and just the power of suggestion. Yeah, very important, and especially in scenes like that where you have an actor doing something violent.
Yeah.
You make up for whatever they're not doing to actually, to break their nose, or with Foley and tricks and sound. Yeah.
That third act where Toni Collette's hitting her head and you're looking at him and you're hearing the bumps and it's far worse than anything you can imagine. It's very effective. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Screaming mommy.
Exactly.
It's not in the script.
What was the genesis of the story? How did you come up with the idea? Were you looking to make a family film with horror elements, of a horror film that explored family dynamics?
I was looking to make a family tragedy that curdled into a nightmare. So that was the goal. A family tragedy first, that then sort of devolves into something operatic and awful.
What was there? Was there a specific incident, something that you came across that kind of inspired the idea?
No, I'll say no. Not. No.
You talk about Cameron's relationship with the father. Kind of interesting. You kind of hardly get a shot from his point of view till that seance, and it kind of sells this idea that he's indirectly affected by all this.
Right. Well, he's also the only person, right, who's not. I mean, I don't want to give anything in the film away, except to say that he's the only person who's not in like a part of a specific bloodline, right? And so he is a little bit more indirectly affected. I mean, obviously not. Like he's very deeply affected by everything that's happening, but he's more disposable if you consider what's really happening in the periphery of the film, and which becomes very, very clear by the end. I hope it becomes clear.
Toni Collette's scene, the dinner scene, it's just so emotionally intense. But then at a certain point, you cut to Gabriel Byrne and you stay on him. We talk about that editorial choice.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's helpless. he's at a loss. He's just trying to keep the peace and prevent his family from spiraling into total oblivion, really.
I mean, I guess I was glad that you were holding on him for so long.
Yeah.
Because I was almost afraid to go back to her shot, because I just had tears running out of my eyes from the intenseness. And it wasn't like I was crying. It's just like I was just tearing up because it was so heavy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that is due to what Tony and Alex are doing in that scene. I couldn't have asked for more committed performances, and they're going to really ugly places too. So it's a scary place to go for an actor.
We shot dual cameras, so it wasn't like we did her coverage and my coverage. We did it together. So that's sort of why it feels so connected. It really does. I like that scene because it feels really. The explosions feel connect. You know, sometimes you see a movie and there'll be. You could tell each actor thinks it's their explosion moment, but this power dynamic never got screwed up. I like the way it's like, you know, Peter's just getting revved up when she slaps him down, and I like that's the whole dynamic of the movie. It's like the power thing. It's like they're just pushing each other until one explodes, and it's really also smart to do like that.
This will be last question.
You both inhabit the roles incredibly well, and the pain is so real that as well I teared up because the pain is just so effective. How did these roles affect you off screen?
It didn't really affect me that much. I used an acting method called the Stella Adler method, which is basically where you create the character, and then when you're on stage or filming, you are the character, but then as soon as they say cut, you're not anymore. And it didn't really affect me too much, but I know you have a different method than I do, and it was just interesting to see how other people were reacting to it, and it was really fascinating to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really have a method really at all. It's like she's one of Tony. Like I was just looking to see what she was doing, but I mean, just with this movie in particular, there was so many rough places I had to go that I was just scared of half-assing some of the things. So, yeah, it's pretty, there's no way to do the things that I do in this movie and go through the things that I go through without going home and feeling a little sick to your stomach. And, you know, so yeah, I'd say I was pretty seriously affected by everything that was going on. I didn't feel when they said cut things were over. Felt pretty shaken to the core pretty much the entire way through. But yeah, now we're here, so we made it out. So
Now we're shaking.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, you directed a film?
yeah.
Can you briefly tell us about that, or is that coming out this
No,
year?
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, no, I just finished like a week and a half ago actually. I directed and starred in it, and that was like the best experience other than Hereditary. It was really, really amazing, and you know, I've been working on it for 5 years, and wrote the script when I was 15, the first draft. Spent 5 years making it readable, and making it. I called Ari and asked 1,000 questions about, you know, all the stuff, and it turned out to be super rewarding. And I felt like being an actor is sort of the best cheat sheet for making a movie, because, you know, especially when you're in it, it's really, I actually think it might be more difficult to direct when you're not in it, because I felt on the ground with my troops. Is kind of how I felt a little bit. Like it felt like I was seeing everything that was going on. I was seeing if someone was nervous or what they were doing, or if they were not fully there. I could just see it right in front of me. So, yeah, it was really, really special.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.